Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting people who only take from you? Why the ones who need saving, soothing, fixing always seem to find you first? And why, no matter how hard you try to build healthier connections, the same pattern keeps returning, like a shadow you can't outrun? Maybe you tell yourself you're just too nice. Maybe you think you're too empathetic. Or maybe you secretly fear that there is something wrong with you. Something broken, invisible, unhealed. But what if I told you the truth is far more profound and far more unsettling? Carl Jung believed that we do not attract people through our strengths. We attract them through our psychological wounds. Your kindness is not the magnet. Your trauma is. There is a part of you, a silent, forgotten part, calling out from beneath the surface. A wound shaped by childhood, by abandonment, by roles you were forced to play before you even had language to describe them. And those who use you feel that wound long before you ever speak a word. So the real question isn't, why do people take advantage of me? The question is, what inside me keeps letting them in? In this video, stay with me until the end, because once you understand the wound, you stop living like a victim and start living like a controller of your own energy. Before we go deeper, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of the awakening that's waiting for you. Maybe this will sound painfully familiar. You meet someone new, and there is nothing obviously dangerous about them. They seem lost, a little fragile, a little wounded in a way that makes your heart tighten. You feel drawn to them, not out of desire, but out of recognition, like you've met their pain somewhere before, maybe long before your adult mind learned to name things. They open up to you fast, too fast. They tell you about their childhood, their trauma, their loneliness, their failures, and they say it with such trembling sincerity that you can't help but lean in. They say you're different. They say they feel safe with you. They say no one else understands them the way you do. And something inside you softens, or maybe it awakens, that old instinct to rescue, to support, to hold, even when you are not being held by anyone. So you start giving. Your attention, your emotional labor, your time, even when you don't have it. Your heart, even when it's tired. You become their anchor, their late-night therapist, their emergency contact. You listen to their storms, absorb their chaos, soothe the parts of them they refuse to soothe themselves. And you do it quietly, gracefully, almost invisibly, because you've always been the strong one, the responsible one, the one who gets it. But slowly, something begins to shift. Your kindness becomes their expectation. Your boundaries become optional. Your yes becomes automatic, because you're afraid of what might happen if you finally say no. And then the pattern reveals itself. You check on them. They rarely check on you. You show up for them. They show up only when it benefits them. You apologize first. They barely apologize at all. You begin to feel that familiar emptiness. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet one. The one that spreads slowly through your chest when you realize someone only loves the comfort you give, not the person you are. You try to pull away, but guilt stops you. You try to rest, but anxiety whispers that you're abandoning someone. You try to ask for what you need, but your voice shakes, because you're not used to being the one who needs. And underneath all of this lies a truth you rarely say out loud. You are afraid of what will happen if you stop being useful. You're afraid people won't stay unless you're giving more than you receive. You're afraid that setting boundaries will make you too much. You're afraid that if you stop taking care of everyone, there will be no one left to take care of you. But here is the part that hurts the most. The part Carl Jung understood with terrifying clarity. You are not attracting users by accident. You are attracted to the familiar wound within them. There is something in their brokenness that mirrors something in your own. Something unhealed, something inherited, something learned long before you had the words to recognize it. If you grew up as the caretaker, the mediator, the child who had to be good to survive, Adults who need rescuing will feel like home. If you learn that love must be earned through effort, sacrifice, and emotional labor, takers will feel strangely comfortable. If your nervous system equates chaos with connection, healthy people will feel boring, and unstable people will feel intoxicating. And none of this is your fault, but it is your pattern. A pattern shaped by wounds, not choices. By survival instincts, not preferences. If any part of this feels too familiar, too close, too painfully accurate, I want you to share your story in the comments. Tell me who you became for others and who you lost in the process. I read every message and I respond. Your story may be the light someone else needs to finally see their own darkness clearly. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And nothing proves this more clearly than the way you attract people who use you. Most people think patterns in their relationships are bad luck, or God testing them, or the universe is sending lessons. But Jung saw something far more intimate and far more uncomfortable. He believed that the people who enter your life do not simply arrive. They are pulled in by the psychological wound you carry. A wound that acts like a signal, silent, invisible, but unmistakable to the kind of people who feed off emotional givers. To understand this, we need to go through three of Jung's deepest concepts: the persona, the shadow, and the wound complex. Together, they form the blueprint of why you keep attracting those who take far more than they give. 1. The persona, the mask that makes you easy to use. The persona is the image you show the world, the version of you that is polite, pleasant, understanding, reliable, endlessly patient. It's the part of you that learned very early that being good keeps you safe, accepted, unpunished. Maybe your childhood rewarded silence more than honesty. Maybe you were praised for being helpful, but ignored when you needed help. Maybe you learned that the only way to belong is to give. So now as an adult, your persona shines like a lighthouse to broken people drifting in the dark. They see someone who won't abandon them, someone who won't challenge them, someone who will carry their weight. But behind that mask lies a truth even you don't fully admit. You're exhausted, you're hurting, and you're scared to stop being the strong one, because you don't know who you are without that role. The persona protects you, but it also traps you and makes you visible to users long before you notice them. 2. The shadow, the unhealed pain that attracts takers. Jung's shadow is everything you push down into your unconscious. Your fear of abandonment, your need for validation, your unresolved guilt, your longing to feel chosen, your belief that you are only valuable when you're giving. You don't show these parts of yourself, not because you're dishonest, but because they frighten you. So they hide. But what is hidden in you is visible to those who know how to take. People who use others have a strange sixth sense. They can detect who will say yes, even when they want to say no, who will forgive too quickly, who will carry emotional weight that doesn't belong to them. And they feel your shadow long before you speak a word. Your shadow says, "I am afraid to lose people. I don't want to burden anyone. I don't know how to stop giving. I don't think I deserve boundaries." They hear it, they respond to it, and they move closer. This is why certain people pursue you so aggressively. They feel the unhealed part of you, and they attach themselves to it. 3. The psychological wound, the wound that keeps choosing for you. Jung called these wounds complexes, emotional imprints formed in childhood that continue shaping your life long after you've forgotten their origin. If you were the emotional caretaker as a child, you will attract adults who need caretaking. If you were raised by someone unpredictable, you will unconsciously choose partners who keep you off balance. If love in childhood was inconsistent, you will equate inconsistency with passion. Your adult relationships are not random, they are reenactments. And until you heal the wound, you will continue reliving the same story with different characters. This is why you can leave one toxic relationship only to fall into another. Why can you move to another city, another circle, another environment, yet the same personality type finds you again. The wound hasn't changed, so the characters don't either. 4. The wound creates a vibration, and users respond. This isn't spiritual fluff. This is psychology. Your unconscious communicates not through words, but through energy, your tone of voice, your reactions, your self-doubt, the way you over-explain, the way you try too hard, the way you feel responsible for other people's emotions. Those who use others are drawn to this energy instinctively. Not because you're weak, but because you're open. You give before being asked. You understand before being understood. You comfort before being comforted. Users do not choose you because you're worthless. They choose you because you're valuable, just not to yourself. And that is the real wound. 5. When the wound heals, the pattern ends. The moment you face your shadow. The moment you question your persona. The moment you recognize the wound that has been choosing your relationships, everything changes. People who use others are not attracted to healed people. Because healed people are unpredictable. They say no. They walk away. They don't apologize for existing. They don't explain their boundaries. They don't abandon themselves to keep someone else comfortable. And that terrifies users. When you heal, you don't repel people. You repel the wrong people. And the most beautiful part? You finally meet the version of yourself who doesn't need to be needed to feel worthy. To understand how psychological wounds shape your relationships, let's step out of theory and look at what this pattern actually looks like in real life. Because it's one thing to know you attract users. It's another to finally see the pattern for what it is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. 1. The romantic partner who loves your empathy, not you imagine this. You meet someone who tells you you're the only person who understands them. They vent, they trauma dump. They lean on you emotionally long before there is any real intimacy, any real reciprocity, any real shared foundation. At first, it feels meaningful. You feel special, chosen, trusted. But a few weeks later, the truth begins to surface. They want comfort, but not responsibility. Attention, but not accountability. Support, but not partnership. They text you only when they're anxious or lonely. They disappear when you need help. They take your emotional generosity as if it's something they're entitled to. And you stay, because the role they give you feels familiar. You think it's a connection, but in reality, it's a wound finding a mirror. This is not love. It's emotional extraction disguised as vulnerability. 2. The friend who only appears in crisis. Then there's the friend who always has a problem, a crisis, a meltdown, a disaster that magically arrives right when you're starting to feel stable. They call you because you're good with emotions, because you always know what to say, because you're the strong one, and you help them. Every time, even when it drains you. But when your life collapses, they suddenly become too busy, too overwhelmed, too unavailable. If you stop pouring into them, the friendship evaporates, because it was never a friendship. It was a support system disguised as companionship. This is not a connection, it's convenient. 3. The workplace dynamic where you become the responsible one. In the workplace, the pattern becomes even clearer. You are the one colleagues rely on when they're behind. You pick up extra tasks because it's easier if you do it. You become the go-to fixer, not because it's fair, but because you don't push back. You work twice as hard as others and receive half the recognition. People praise your reliability, but they exploit it. And because your wound tells you that competence equals safety, you overperform. Again and again. You're not chosen because you're weak. You're chosen because you're too capable, in a way that only people pleasers learn to be. 4. The invisible pattern connecting all 3 different situations. Different people, different relationships, but the same emotional blueprint. You give first. You give too much. You give even when you're empty. And users, romantically, socially, professionally, can sense this. Not consciously, but psychically, energetically. They see someone who won't abandon them. Someone who will absorb their chaos. Someone who doesn't know how to stop giving. This isn't a coincidence. It's a psychological wound broadcasting the same message. I'll take care of you, even if it destroys me. And that is exactly why takers, narcissists, emotional dependents, and energy leeches gravitate toward you. Not because you deserve less, but because you've never learned to protect what you give. If any of these examples hit you, or help viewers see themselves in the story, encourage them to share their real experiences in the comments. At the end of the video, you can say, "Tell me which example felt like your life." I read every comment. There is a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when you realize you cannot keep living this way. A moment when something inside you whispers, "Enough," not with anger, not with rebellion, but with truth. This is the moment Jung called the beginning of individuation. The moment when your soul stops begging for love and starts demanding honesty. Healing your psychological wound is not about cutting people off or becoming cold. It's about finally coming home to yourself. Let's walk through the core of this awakening, slowly, deeply, because this is the point where everything begins to change. 1. Face the shadow. The part of you that kept choosing pain. Jung said the shadow is not your darkness. It is the part of you you have never allowed yourself to see. Your shadow is the reason you give too much. It is the abandoned child inside you who learned that being useful is the only way to be loved. It is the part of you that believes, if I stop giving, I stop being worth anything. Facing the shadow means sitting with that frightened, desperate version of yourself and finally telling them, you don't have to earn love anymore. Not with your labor, not with your kindness, not with your self-sacrifice. This alone begins to break the pattern. 2. Withdraw the projection. Stop romanticizing your wound. Every taker, every narcissist, every emotional parasite you've ever attracted was not an accident. They were a mirror, a projection, a reflection of your unhealed wound. You saw their brokenness and called it depth. You saw their chaos and called it passion. You saw their emotional neediness and called it connection. You weren't loving them, you were loving the wounded part of yourself through them. When you withdraw that projection, you finally see people clearly, not as lost children to rescue, not as fragile souls to protect, not as broken angels to redeem. Just as they are, people responsible for their own healing, just like you. This instantly removes the power they had over you. 3. Reclaim the persona. Take back the mask you didn't choose, the persona you wear. The helper, the healer, the giver, the responsible one, was never your identity. It was a survival strategy. Reclaiming the persona means understanding it without being controlled by it. You can be kind without being exploited. You can be generous without being drained. You can be empathetic without absorbing other people's pain. You do not destroy the persona, you own it. And when you own the role instead of being owned by it, the dynamic flips. You are no longer predictable, and users lose their grip on you. 4. Build energetic boundaries. Without a word, without a fight, most people misunderstand boundaries. They think boundaries are confrontations, rules, walls. But the strongest boundaries are energetic, silent, unapologetic. Boundaries are the way you sit, the way you breathe, the way your eyes no longer flinch when someone tries to guilt you. Boundaries are the moment you stop over-explaining, the moment you let silence speak for you, the moment you choose peace over pleasing. Users cannot feed on someone who knows their worth. Your energy becomes closed. Your emotional doors stop staying unlocked. Takers hate this because they can no longer enter without permission. 5. Step into individuation, the rebirth of a whole self. Jung believed that the true purpose of life is not happiness, it is wholeness. Wholeness is when all the parts of you, the strong, the broken, the soft, the angry, the tender, the fierce finally sit at the same table. This is the moment when you say, I am both the light and the shadow, and I refuse to abandon any part of myself again. And when this happens, something extraordinary takes place. You stop attracting users, not because you push them away, but because your soul stops speaking the language of self-abandonment. Your vibration changes. Your presence changes. Your silence changes. People who once drained you feel intimidated. People who once controlled you feel powerless. People who once clung to you suddenly fall away. Not because you became cold, but because you finally became whole. 6. The truth you've been avoiding. You don't need saving, you need seeing. This is the final, brutal, liberating truth. You were never meant to be the healer of others. You were meant to be the healer of yourself. When you choose yourself, you don't lose people. You lose the versions of people who only existed when you abandoned yourself. And what comes next is something you may not be used to. People who give back. People who see you, not just what you provide. People who love you without demanding your soul as payment. That is the reward of individuation. That is the return of your energy. That is the beginning of your true life. There comes a moment in every person's life when the truth arrives quietly, not as a shout, not as a breakdown, but as a whisper that sounds almost like your own voice. A moment when you look at the patterns you've lived, the people you've carried, the wounds you've repeated, and you finally understand you were never weak. You were never naive. You were simply giving from a place that had never been given to. You have spent years trying to be the strong one, the calm one, the one who understands, the one who forgives. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that your soul wasn't built to be a rescue boat for everyone else's storms. Carl Jung believed that every human carries a self, not the fragile ego, not the mask we show the world, but an inner center that is whole, ancient, and unbroken. And your entire life, this self has been calling you back, calling you away from people who drain you, calling you out of patterns that suffocate you, calling you home. The people who used you were not a sign of your failure. They were a mirror showing you the places where you had abandoned yourself. They were the echo of an inner wound begging to be seen, begging to be healed. But now you see the wound, you hear the echo, and you finally understand that you cannot offer the world what you refuse to offer yourself. The moment you choose yourself, fully, unapologetically, fiercely, your entire reality rearranges. The ones who only came for your light will fade. The ones who fed on your energy will lose access to you. The ones who stayed because you didn't know how to say no will drift out of your orbit. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally stopped abandoning who you've always been. And in the quiet that follows, a quiet that once would have terrified you, something extraordinary appears. Peace. Not the fragile peace that depends on pleasing others, but the deep, grounded peace that comes from living aligned with your truth. You begin attracting people who don't want your energy, they want your presence. People who don't cling to your strength, they respect your boundaries. People who don't take from you, they stand beside you. And that is when you realize the most powerful truth of all. You never needed to be loved for how much you give. You needed to be loved for who you are when you finally stop giving more than you have. So as we close this journey, I want to leave you with one final reminder. Your wound does not define you. Your past does not control you. Your patterns are not destiny. You are allowed to choose yourself now, fiercely, fully, fearlessly. And when you do, the world around you will transform, because you transformed first. Now tell me in the comments, what was the one sentence in this video that woke something up inside you? I read every single comment. And if you found value here, remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of your own awakening. The next video may be the one that changes everything for you.